Ever wish you knew what people were thinking? Hi, I'm Janette Ghedotte. As a psychologist, truth, and deception detection expert, I can empower you to discover how to read people's bodies. It's no hocus pocus. It's the magic of accurate body language. The acronym MAGIC are the 5 key elements to detecting and decoding accurate body language. What do each of the letters in MAGIC mean? I invite you to click the link to register and find out what the magic of accurate body language is all about. See you at the event.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to another fantastic, phenomenal, big view learning educational sessions. Oh yeah, we're jamming today. Come on. I'm glad that you're in the room. Again, my name is Robert Kennedy III, RK3. That's me. And today is a phenomenal episode. It's called The 5 Magic Steps to Accurate Body Language. And guess what? We've got a giveaway at the end, y'all. You got to hang out. You got to hang around because our guest today is not only phenomenal, but she's going to share with you something amazing. Have you ever heard of a palm reading? Well, she's going to give you a face reading. So here's what you got to do. You've got to go to Instagram and follow Accurate Body Language. That's the handle. Follow Accurate Body Language on Instagram and then email her or inbox her with your email address. And she's going to give a winner, one lucky winner, a face reading. So, whoa, I don't know if you're ready. I'm ready. Let's do this thing. I'm Robert Kennedy III. As I mentioned, I work with real estate agents who want to connect and communicate better with their prospects and clients. And I help them do this through storytelling and communication activities and exercises. One of the big things that I help them do is figure out how to do that, how to tell their stories most effectively on video. So as a matter of fact, do me a favor. I'm going to be running what I call the Video Storytelling Challenge, monetizing and selling with video storytelling challenge, 3-day challenge next week, March 14th through 16th. So if you want to be a part of that, head on over to videostorytellingchallenge.com. Go to videostorytellingchallenge.com, or you can just check out the QR code and I will see you in the challenge next week. Now, we are doing something amazing here, and this is interactive. We want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be a part of this. As a matter of fact, if you're in the chat, just go ahead and type yes, or just type where you're from. I want to see who's in the audience right now so I can see, so I can call you out and acknowledge you. While you're doing that, if you have any questions during the broadcast, do me a favor and just type the letter Q before your question, and we will answer your questions as soon as we're able in the broadcast here. All right, so I see Paula from Flushing, New York. Woohoo, I grew up in the Bronx. Yes, excellent. Robert from Toronto. I spent some time in Toronto. I lived in Oshawa for a little bit. Lori Brown from Michigan. Yes, I spoke at the Michigan Realtors Convention just in September. The Bahamas. I've been to Bahamas on a cruise. Nice. Hamilton, Canada. Excellent. All right. Hey, LGS from England. Aline from Massachusetts. I lived in Worcester. Love it. West Bloomfield, Michigan. Roland Manny from Ohio. Janice from Ohio. Good stuff. Monterey County Homes. I love it. And from Monterey, California. Keith Knowlton from Bremerton, Washington. We had so many fantastic people. I wish we could call them all out today. Yvette from Orlando, Florida. Nice. Love it. So let's jump on in to this thing today. We want to make sure that we have enough time to get all of the information from our guest. And again, she's going to be presenting, and I'll ask some questions, and we'll take some of the questions from the chat during this time. All right, so let me introduce our speaker, our host, our guest for today. I'm the host. All right, let me introduce our guest for the day. Janette Ghedotte is a truth and deception detection expert. Woo, I think we need one of those. With us at all times. She's a clinical psychologist, the founder and CEO of Accurate Body Language, has over 20 years in corporate business, marketing, research, advertising, and strategic brand positioning. She specializes in understanding the complexities of human behavior, interpersonal relationships, verbal and nonverbal body language communication. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, all the people, everybody that's in the audience, I acknowledge you, and we just want to welcome to the show, Janette Ghedotte. Come on, Janette, where are you? Hey, can I high five you? There you go. All right. Bam. There you go. I'm so glad that you're here. How you doing?
Fantastic, Robert. Fantastic.
Yes, yes. So tell us where you're located. Let's talk a little bit about weather. I see some people in Jacksonville and Canada and Chile.
I love it.
Wow. Yeah, Holly from Vancouver. This weather's all over. Laurel, Maryland. Paul, I'm in Beltsville, dude. Come on, let's high five. Bam, there we go. Where are you, Janette?
Yes, I am in the Metro Detroit area, so we still have snow, but I'm packing my bags to visit Bruno after the show, okay? He's in Brazil. Robert and I are taking the flight back.
I know we're slumming it at like 45 degrees here today. Come on. I love it. Excellent, excellent. So let's jump in right away. Let me ask you this question. There are a lot of people who think they understand people, right? And they think that they understand what people are saying, what they're thinking just by looking at them. But
Mhm.
unlike other people, you actually study this thing. I'm going to go back to your bio. You said you are a truth and deception detection expert. Whoa. Tell me a little bit more about that. What is a truth and deception detection? It's a tongue twister. Truth and deception detection expert.
It's me, baby. It's me.
There we
But I
go.
like everybody that we all started. Everybody who's attending today and the handsome host and me, we were all body language experts when we were babies, before we were born. You know why? Because we couldn't speak at that time, so we were absorbing everything in our mother's environment, and we were developing our five senses, and those five senses are exactly what we needed then and exactly what we need now to get to the truth and to really know what's being conveyed in the body. Because if the words say one thing, Robert, and the body tells you something else, what you gonna believe? What are you gonna believe?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
words or the body? Joyce Weiss and I
yeah,
believe the body. Okay.
yeah,
Hi,
yeah. So
Joyce.
let me give a quick example. Sometimes in public speaking trainings, I say the way that you say things is so important because when I got married, my wife would ask me a question. The question that a lot of wives ask their mates. They say, "How do I look?" They come out of the bathroom with an outfit and they say, "How do I look?" Right? And I remember when I first got married, I said this word, and I don't use it these days anymore. But I said, "Fine." Right? I said, fine. My wife, she got into me. She got so upset with me. But I use this example. I say, there's a difference. What if instead of me just saying fine, what if I said fine? Right?
Fine.
That's now.
How you
Ooh,
deliver
now,
or fantastic.
now, yeah. Now we're totally different. Right.
That's
So
right.
this really leans into what you're talking about today. So tell us, and I'm going to turn this over to you in just a second here. Why are you passionate about empowering people to detect and decode accurate body language? Why is this a thing for you?
Yes. Because the truth should shine through. And when people do not understand what's right in front of them as
Mhm.
hotspot clues, I kind of get upset. I want
Ooh,
people to get to the truth. And when you reclaim your natural fluency for body language, you have the competitive advantage, baby. You've got
yeah,
the advantage among all the other colleagues of yours because you can read the body in the
yeah,
heat of the moment and then navigate through with your conflict resolution skills. And if you need more conflict resolution skills, hook up with Joyce Weiss. She'll get you ready for more conflict resolution. But that is why I'm so passionate. I want people to be informed, Robert. I want people
yeah.
to have the best information to make the best decisions in their lives because when they miss the clues, it's costly. It costs them more than they ever realized possible.
So essentially, you just said if I learn how to read body language, I can make money. So why don't we just
That's
turn it over to you? I want to learn how to make money by
right.
reading people's body language. How about that?
That's right. That is right. Because everybody in the audience, you when you understand how to read body language and understand statement analysis, it helps you with your family interactions, with your children interactions, and in business. No matter what, you have the competitive advantage.
Love it. Love it. So I'm going to turn it over to you because you've got some very neat visuals to show us as well as you convince us that body language is the real deal. Yeah.
Who
Let's
wants
go.
to see the show? Who wants to see the show?
Go ahead. Type yes. Premise says, I want to make some money. Love it.
Here we are. Here we are. So the acronym is MAGIC. It's not magic when you know the secret. Who wants to learn the secret and the magic of acrobat body language? Just type in the show, give me the magic. Show me the magic. So we're going to start the show. The first and the most important thing is be attuned in the present moment. Have your full undivided attention to the person that you're interacting with. Because if you're not watching them and attuning, you're missing the clues, baby. I don't want you to miss the clues. I want you to capture the clues so that you are right there, that you see everything that is right in front of you. So much of our attention is being, sidetracked by other things. You need to absorb everything. Absorb everything. Be in the present moment. That is your biggest advantage. Now, everybody, show me 5 fingers. All right? Use all 5 of your senses. You developed them in the womb. They served you before you were born. They can serve you now that we're grown. First of all, everybody do this. Look, listen, and learn. Those 3 L's will help you in your acrobat body language understanding of what's happening. You got to look, listen, and learn. Be curious about what is being conveyed to you by look, listening, and learning. Okay, you see this? We got 1 mouth but 2 eyes, but we do a lot of this. So my recommendation is talk less in order to listen more. If we're talking, we're not discovering. When we listen, we're discovering. So Robert and I invite you to listen more. And of course, you've got to open your eyes. We all know people when we're interacting with them that they're not even watching us or looking at us. They're missing clues. You've got to watch and observe and pay attention to what is happening right there in the moment, right in front of you. If you're not watching, then you're not learning. And I know for different individuals who might be shy or culturally, they may not have eye gaze that is direct, but then they're missing out. I don't want you to miss out. I want you to catch the clues. So watch and learn. Even the nose knows. So we have 5 senses. So if you're smelling things, that is a sense that you can capitalize. And olfactory senses leads in our 5 senses more than we realize. Okay? Now, everybody, look at your toes, look at your feet. Start with your feet first. Everybody else looks here. But I invite you, when you're interacting with other people, look at the other people's feet. But don't be creepy about it. Robert and I don't recommend that you be creepy. Be professional. You're observing the whole gestalt of it. But if you notice where the 10 toes are, and if they're pointing to you, you've captured their entire attention. If 5 of the toes are pointing in another direction, that's your clue to find out what the objection is, find out their motivation for pointing in another direction, and then recapture their attention so that you can get your message across, so that you can close the deal, seal the deal. Okay? So magic is MAGIC. M leads, motivation. When you know the motivation of your target or your prospect or your potential client, you've got a heads up on what leads in their behavior. When you know the motivation, all of their behavior makes sense. Makes sense. Now, Robert and I were talking about the recent Alex Murdock case. If we knew what his motivation was, then perhaps his crimes that he got convicted of would make sense. The mistake that we often make, Robert, is that we interpret from our perspective. But when you put yourself in the shoes of your prospect or your client or the person that you're interacting with, and you find out that individual's motivation, then all of your discussion and the way you pitch it to them will be tailored to that individual. So the motivation, what is their emotional investment? What is at stake? Remember the easy game, 2 truths and a lie? Joyce Weiss knows this story. 2 truths and a lie is actually a hard game because the 2 truths and the one lie is inconsequential. So the body will reveal less hotspot clues because the motivation to lie isn't strong. But in, let's say, Alex Murdoch's case or a high negotiation contract case, if the motivation is strong, then the likelihood to lie is going to match the motivation. So be aware of the motivation for people. And oftentimes you might just ask them, what is their motivating drive for wanting your product or service?
Can we pause and ask a question there? So what about people who are just they just lie just because they do. They're used to doing it. It's almost like it's harder for them to tell the truth.
Yes,
They may not, and sometimes they lie about things that seem inconsequential, and you're like, dude, why did you even lie about that?
yes. Robert Hare is a psychologist who analyzed psychopaths in the incarceration environment, and he did fMRIs, and he studied the brains of psychopaths versus the brains of people who don't fit the criteria for psychopaths. And what he discovered was the brains of psychopaths are fundamentally functional and structurally different than ordinary folks. Their white and gray matter ratios are different. I cannot remember which way it goes, but their brain neurons and their synapses are faster to connect to in order for them to create the lies. And that is the opposite of people who are diagnosed with autism. People with autism don't have those complex neural pathways, so they are more truth-based. I love that question, Robert. And my advice is stay the heck away from people who always lie. And if they
Yeah.
promise that they're not going to tell you the truth, sure as heck don't believe them, because their past history predicates their future behavior. So the
Right.
higher the stakes, the higher the motivation to lie. All right? The higher the stakes, the higher the motivation to lie. And liars lie the most to the people in their inner circle, their families, their loved ones. And then they have the halo effect that their families want to believe them. And so the people who are lied the most are the people in their inner circle. But in business, when you understand how to detect and decode body language, you really have a leg up and a heads up to the competition. Now, do we want to have the competitive advantage? Yes, we do. So I'm so glad that each of us are on this event now. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to establish the baseline. When you're interacting with somebody and you're asking them non-threatening, easy questions, you want to see how they are behaving. That's establishing the baseline. And you can do this within a few minutes, all right? Then you are asking questions and noticing any change in behavior. So the M was for motivation, and the A in magic is asking strategic questions and then noticing how their bodies react. And it's in a split, lickety-split fraction of seconds. So you're asking the trigger questions, and then within fractions of a second, you're noticing any changes in their behaviors, because that's very telling. The brain sends the impulses through your nervous system to react faster than your frontal brain or your language part of your brain can complicate the matter with lies. It takes longer to lie. So that's why my tagline is, from head to toes, the body always shows the truth. And in business, you want to create ease, all right? Ease is engaging your five senses. Ease is attuning and absorbing what's occurring right in front of you, softening your approach so that you get the intel, and employing the body language tools that you're learning today. So when you see any change in baseline, Robert, you're noticing, what I just saw, did it point more towards ease or dis-ease? Ease or dis-ease? And you're going to mentally keep track of what's occurring so that you see if your prospect is leaning more towards ease or dis-ease. And if it's leaning towards dis-ease, then you can employ all your other skills to maintain or enhance rapport so that you can move that client closer to sealing the deal and making the money that Robert's talking about. Comfort, connection, and congruency. You want to get your prospect to the yes. And to get that prospect to the yes, you have to connect and align to them and offer ease and comfort and connection and congruency. So when your words and your body are congruent, they can sense that and they are more likely to do business with you. You want to get to the truth when you're engaging with people. So when you're noticing any change in their baseline, you want to discover, is it ease or unease? We talked about softening your approach. You want to make sure that the person feels comfort and ease with you. Now, see this couple? Notice how they are so aligned to each other. The royal couple. Both of their hands are in alignment. But notice how William's fingertips are closer to his mouth. That he's moving towards blocking his mouth, and his smile is less genuine. He appears more guarded than his beautiful wife, who has more of a natural smile. And notice her hand is closer to her chin area and not to her lip. So she is more comfortable with the media, comfortable with the crowd. And William, Prince William, from this still picture, you can tell he's more at dis-ease with what's happening there. And his other hand is closer to protecting his private areas. All right. The princess there is holding a purse. And so you can tell right from her face that she's more at ease. And notice the bodyguard. What would you say the bodyguard is, ease or dis-ease, Robert?
He's on alert.
Yes, he's on alert. He's doing his job. And you can tell that, okay, everybody purse your lips, tighten your lips. When lips disappear, you don't like what you hear, or you're not digging what's happening in the moment. You don't want your prospect to have disappearing lips, okay? If you see that your prospect has tight or pursed lips, do not close in that moment. he's not ready. You've got to loosen that person up, make him more at ease so that you're leading that prospect to the yes. Make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about M is for magic, A is for asking strategic question, G is asking guilt, guilt or discomforting questions. And you have to wonder, why is Robert giving me dis-ease sentences or body language gestures when I ask him, Robert, did you take the money? Did you take the money, Robert? So it depends on the trigger, the antecedent, and watch the behavior, watch the body, because the body always tells the truth. Words may lie, but the body tells the truth. All right. Once again, we're talking about deviations from the baseline. Now, just because you see deviations from the baseline may not be what you think it is. So whatever you can do to confirm with your prospect, make sure that you're on the right track and test out your theory, it's to your advantage, but you're noticing deviations from the baseline. So M is for motivation, A is for ask strategic questions, G is you're pitching them guilt related questions, I is indicators. You're looking for the indicators to tell you, is the person reacting with comfort or discomfort body language clues. I call them hotspots. They're also called body language tells, but you're noticing comfort or discomfort clues. And what you're doing is you're clustering those clues. So that's the C in magic, just like puzzle pieces. Remember when we were kids, Robert, and we did puzzles? Okay, if you notice one, body language gesture like me rubbing my nose, that's only one piece of the puzzle. You have to cluster various pieces of the puzzle, because when we cluster a handful of clues and then we grab another handful of clues, the picture starts to appear and the story unfolds. But if you put everything on one or two pieces, you don't have the whole picture. You only have the one or two clues. They may be very important clues, but the more you cluster the puzzle pieces, the clearer the picture will be. So that's the magic of body language. M is for motivation, A, strategic questions, ask strategic questions. G is your pitching possible guilt related questions. I is investigate the indicators, the body language and the statement analysis indicators. And C is cluster the clues. And that is the 5 magic steps of accurate body language. Audience, tell me what you think about the 5 magic steps of body language.
Yeah. I love that you said cluster the clues, because I've heard people say things like, yeah, if you're talking to people and they look to the left, that means they're lying. Or something else like, oh, if you're talking to them and they rub their nose, that means they're not telling the truth. So
Yes.
I love that you have said it's not just one thing, it's several. You've got to add this together to clarify and get, for the lack of a better way to explain it, get additional evidence before you come to your conclusion.
Yeah. See, when you see body language indicators, I invite the audience and Robert to be like body language detectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be curious enough to wonder, why did they react the way they reacted? And then cluster the clues. And when you have multiple clues, you're figuring out, really, is it ease or dis-ease? Ease or dis-ease? And then you can navigate through that conversation with all of your other skills to lead them to the yes and get the outcomes that you want.
I love it. Let's take a question. I see a question in the audience. I think this was from very early on, and it's from Nicole, and it says, "What if I'm overweight and I'm not as svelte as I used to be, and able to bounce around like before? Does that give me a disadvantage?"
Well, it's the current baseline. So, however that person is presenting to you in the moment is their baseline. And then you're just noticing any deviations from the
Mhm.
baseline based on the environment and the conversation, how the conversation unfolds. So, whether you're dealing with a tall person or a short person or whatever the body type, it's whatever the baseline is in the moment. I'm still hoping to grow, Robert, to 5'2". One of these days I'm gonna grow up. So,
Yeah.
but the thing is, even though I'm 5'1.5" and shrinking, when I walk in the room, it's the body language energy that fills the room, plus my smile.
Mhm. That's right. That's right.
Thank you
Let's
for
go to
that.
another. Let's go to another question from Eddie. Eddie's asking, "Is somebody yawning a tell that they're lying?"
Yes, Alondra and Eddie both asked about yawning. Now,
Yeah.
yawning depends on what immediately happened before the yawn. If it's a parent and they're asking the kid to do their homework or do chores and they go, and they yawn, that might be a sign of disrespect. But
Mm,
most people, when they yawn, it might be a sign that they're tired. You have to test out your hypothesis, okay? So it's immediately before the yawn. And the thing is, with yawning, if we were all in a conference room and Robert started to yawn, our mirror neurons would catch that and we'd all start yawning because we're matching and mirroring Robert.
yeah.
So whenever you are interacting with a business prospect and they start to yawn, you do not want to yawn. You want to get up and get that person more active. Change the environment. If they're sitting, invite them up to see your office or to see your awards or to check out the house, right? So that
Mhm.
you change the environment to snap them out of their boredom or their tiredness. Good question. Thank you, Eddie
Yeah.
and Fran.
Uh, so let's continue the yawning theme here. So empowered living with Carl, or is that Carrie? Carl is asking, what would be a good example question to draw someone back from a yawn?
Yes, you want to get them active. So, with your body language gestures, you can rise up and say, would you like a cup of coffee? Or I've got wonderful tea here. Or let's go walk and talk in the garden. So if you're walking and talking, you want to match and mirror their pace and their leg movement so that they feel uh, aligned with you. You want to snap them
Mhm.
out of the yawn. Whatever you can do to change it up to revigorate them. Unless you're
Yeah.
selling a pillow, then you want to have them try out your pillow. So it depends
Yeah.
on your product, baby.
Yeah. So we're looking at an air or a layer of detectability or predictability here. So I see Prema is asking the question. Oh, Prema's gone to NLP here. Where can we access more NLP body clues?
Yes, yes. I have not been officially trained in NLP, but I have my certification in hypnosis. And a lot of the words, if you keep your words with your prospect positive and with calm authority, calm confidence and authority, you can use embedded commands like, Robert, you will enjoy my product. And
Mm,
service. Robert, imagine your life after you buy my product and service.
yeah.
So Yes, you can weave in all of your other skills like NLP and hypnosis and conflict resolution to get that client to the yes.
Yeah, I love what you just said, because it's something that I teach in public speaking training as well. So when you say a word like imagine, because you really want to trigger the person's brain to move off of you and into their own space so that you can connect with experiences that they have. As a matter of fact, I used to be a science teacher, and one of the brain triggers, the brain science behind the asking questions or using words like imagine, is that we have a trigger, we have a behavior in our brain that scientists call instinctive elaboration, which simply means that when a question is asked or when certain words are said, you can't help but answer the question
Yes,
or go to a specific place because that's what the words are intended to do. So, in conversations, starting with a
exactly,
question is a really
exactly.
good way to engage the brain before anything else. So that's awesome. I love that you said that.
Now, Robert mentioned that he works with realtors, so how
Hmm.
he can invite more of the senses in the whole experiences, and realtors all know this, like filling the home with comfort smells, like uh, Toll House cookies or brownies or whatever you think is good
Yeah,
for the open house. And then as you're walking through, imagine hosting your holiday parties in this. Where would you put blank blank blank? And then
yeah,
imagine is future pacing, but then you're changing the language to the present so that you're
yeah,
hypnotizing them into the future, but then bringing them in the present so their imagination is filled with the opportunity of living in that house.
yeah, yeah. So let's jump to another question here. LGS is asking an interesting question here. Uh, so, let's talk a little bit about the motivation to lie a little bit more. Should we assume that as human beings, when we want something real bad, they will always lie to get it?
Well, some people, yes. Some people, yes, in order to get what they want. That's why they qualify for personality disorders. And I'm a
Mhm.
psychologist, so the cluster B personality disorders of narcissism, antisocial, and borderline. They are three personality disorders that their lying is baseline. Okay,
Yeah,
but not always. I believe that most people are good human beings, and many people are motivated to serve. Robert and I are, and Joyce Weiss are motivated to serve. We have a serving spirit. So, whatever you can do in your inner circle, and keep your inner circle tight of quality people, high integrity people, and kick conflict and chaos to the curb. Make sure
yeah.
those people aren't in your inner circle because they will damage your spirit.
That's right. That's right. So here's another question from Maria. Maria is asking, and I'm not sure exactly what this means, but she says, "What about leaking the lips and taking a little pause in the conversation?" I'm assuming that's the opposite of pursing the lips, but I'm not sure. You might understand better than I do.
Maria, that's an excellent question. The body always tells, the body always leaks intel before
Mm,
birth and after death. You know how the forensic scientists and the coroner and the people involved in taking care of the body after death, they all know how to read the clues in the body, even though the body it is deceased. So the body always leaks the intel. We have to be able to understand, read, and interpret the leaks or the intel messages in order to understand what's going on. So great question, Maria.
I love it. So you've got this 5-step formula here. So when people are in professional or even personal interactions, walking through each of these 5 steps in our brains may be a little bit mechanical at first. Where do you recommend people start? Do you say, "Hey, let's just start at the M," or is there something when people are first getting started with this magic process, something that
Yes,
you say, "Hey, you know what? Start with this."
yes. I just want to remind people that everybody on this show, we were body language experts when we were babies. So
Right.
we knew it then, we can recapture it now. We we were experts when we were babies, and then as we got more and more education, we became amateurs. So my job and my passion, as Robert had mentioned earlier, is for all of us to recapture our natural fluency in body language. That's
Yeah.
our original language, everybody. Body language is our original language, but if we don't use it, what happens, Robert? We
We
lose
lose
it.
it. There we
So
go.
we gotta use it, which means, getting the training again, because it's like riding a bike. Once you get trained in it and practice and reclaim the fluency, it then becomes from mechanical, right? And learning any
Yeah.
language to second nature to part of your lifestyle. Now, because I've been studying body language and psychology for over a decade, it's so natural and obvious to me that when I was watching, let's say, the Alex Murdock cases, when he
Mhm.
was testifying, I could see his clues, his hotspot clues, and guess who believed his lies? His family, his inner circle. Those are the people that trusted him, and he lied straight up to them. So I
Wow.
want everybody in the audience to get to the truth. And how you get to the truth is understanding your natural language, body language.
I love it. I love it. So it looks like there are quite a few people in the questions here that are really concerned about figuring out if their family members or their coworkers are lying to them because they're asking questions like, "Oh, so what about looking to the left? What about licking the lips?"
Yes,
Before
yes.
answering.
Let me address the looking to the left, the eye gaze. Okay.
Yeah.
Global study of over 10,000 subjects across multiple countries discovered that the number one myth is when somebody doesn't look at you, they're lying. That is a
Mhm.
myth because shy people won't look at you. Um, Anxious people may not look at you. And people who were brought up in different cultures of respect may not look at you, but they still might be truth based. And guess
Yeah.
what? Pathological or skilled liars, like Robert brought up, they want to look at you because they want to gauge their target to see if their lies and their con jobs are being believed. All right. So, what I recommend regarding eye gaze is for all of us to improve our eye gaze when we're interacting, because what we see, we can capture, what we miss, we lose. And so, keep your eye gaze as much as possible and capture the clues. Capture the clues. Now, regarding eye gaze, if they look to the left or right, you want to always baseline that individual. Joyce Weiss and I did this on her Kick Conflict to the Curb program. We asked Tony Martin, one of our participants, when was tell me about the car that you bought or your first bike that you rode. You want to look to see where their eye gaze goes when they're recapturing non-threatening historical questions, Robert.
Yeah.
Non-threatening historical questions. And you want to keep asking about historical stuff so that the person always looks in that direction. Then when you ask them, where were you last night, Robert? Or did you take the money, Robert? And their eye goes in the other direction, bam, that's a deviation in the baseline. And you want to
Yeah.
test that deviation by asking follow up appropriate relevant questions. So that's a great question about eye gaze. keep your eye gaze so that you can absorb what's happening. Thank you for that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I'm looking at what LGS says in the comments, and they say, I have always believed that people who look around when speaking are simply storytellers and not liars.
When they look around when you're interacting with them, is that my
I,
understanding?
I guess I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but you know, in some cases, you could say that liars are storytellers.
They're liars,
Yeah.
okay? Storytelling is a softening, it's a softening of
Yeah.
the fact of lies.
Yeah.
If you're interacting with somebody and they are gazing all around, okay, that's a tell. You have to figure out what is their motivation for looking around. Are they looking to see a more important person in the room? Are they looking to see the exit so they can exit from you? Are they looking to see the bathroom because they have to go? You have to
Yeah.
figure out why. And if it's something where you can help them recapture their full attention to you, that's what you want to do. But the eye gaze everywhere else means that you don't have their full attention yet. So what can you do to get their full attention or alleviate the need for them to look around?
Wow. Wow. This is awesome. This is amazing. So I guess the question for me is, what really kicked off your interest in this area? I like to dig a little bit deeper sometimes because people who have certain jobs or people who start certain businesses or do certain things, there's something in their life that caused them to pivot or to go towards that thing. What is it for you? Is there anything for you that you can share with us that really caused you to say, you know what, I want to dive deeper into this science
Yeah.
of body language?
Thank you, Robert. When you're interacting with your prospect, if you can find out their personal and emotional backstory, which is kind
Mhm.
of what Robert is asking, then you've got the emotional nugget of gold where you can tailor your whole presentation to what really motivates them. And for me,
Right.
I came over when I was 3 years old from Vietnam, so I didn't know English. So guess what I had to rely on? Body
Mm,
language. Body
yeah.
language, baby. So that probably was the first time that I used body language to understand a different culture. But as a psychologist, I always want to understand what's motivating the individual. I want to understand communication and relationship dynamics. And when you
Yeah.
understand body language and statement analysis and psychology, you really are empowered to get to the core of your prospect, to get to their real emotional reasons why they need your products and services. People don't buy for logic, they buy for emotional reasons. And one of
Yep.
the key aspects of getting them to the yes is they got to like you. They have to feel like you know what they need and want. So, Robert, it's all about getting to the truth and understanding the human being that I'm interacting with.
What would you say has been? You just talked about the Alex Murdock case, and I jokingly before the show asked you about the OJ case. What would you say has been your most exciting example of being able to use body language in a well-known or professional setting?
Yes. Robert and I were talking about the Alex Murdoch case, which it
Mhm.
captured the attention of us recently. And it was a great study because it showed, as I listened to Alex Murdoch on the case, he's a South Carolina disbarred attorney who just got convicted of killing his son and his wife. And you can, when we interpret that from our perspective, we're thinking, how
Mhm.
can anybody kill their son and wife? But when you understand it from his perspective, it all makes sense. It all makes sense, whatever his motivation is. So, as it was going through in the last week, If everybody follows me on Instagram, Accurate Body Language, you can see the 7 posts from the last 7 days that I, analyzed Alex Murdock, and his body helped me lead to the truth. I didn't. His body and his words led to the conclusion that he was not credible. And then 12 people on the jury also agreed. And within 3 hours, they rendered guilty on all 4 charges. So it's amazing when you know that ahead of time, how it's such an advantage for you in your personal and professional life. So that's my recommendation. When you know how to read the body, it gives you such a competitive advantage.
I love it. I love you. You said that they came to a verdict in 3 hours. I was looking at an interview with one of the jurors, and he said it really didn't even take him 3 hours. He said it took him about 45 minutes, but there were a couple of people that weren't sure, and so they were able to really convince them in about a little bit over an hour. So it was really surprising how quickly people
Yes.
Came to that conclusion. So is body language, I mean, you said that body language is something that we all can learn, and it was our very first
It is.
language that we relied on from birth. So with regard to learning body language again, what would you say is maybe the best place for me to start focusing? I know you mentioned start from the toes up, not being creepy earlier, but maybe if I'm online, I'm in a virtual setting and I don't have access to the entire body, right? Before the show, we were talking about foreheads and stuff. What are some of the things that I can look at in a virtual space, especially, that might give me access to body language clues?
Excellent. Okay, everybody, we are using virtual meetings now. And so
Yeah.
this rectangle here, you would think, well, that's really limiting, but not really. You are still paying attention from here to here in the body. So everybody do a double shoulder shrug. Now do an asymmetrical shoulder shrug. Feel how different that is? So
I'm
if
not sure
I
what
ask,
that is, but okay.
right, and we really don't pay attention to the shoulders, okay? But
Yeah.
now, when you're interacting with people on Zoom, if you're pitching them your product and services and the benefits of your product and services, and you ask
Mhm.
them a question and you see the double shoulder shrug, don't close at that moment, okay? Because you still have work to do. The double shoulder shrug is showing uncertainty, dis-ease about what's happening in the moment. The single shoulder shrug, that's harder to do, isn't that? So that there indicates that there's some dis-ease or deception in that
Yeah.
moment. Double shoulder shrug is more natural. So when you see shoulder shrugs, you have to re-engage with the prospect or client, really understand their emotional reasons and how your product and service can be a benefit in their life. Now, do this. Touch your, if you see the prospect touching any part of their body, depending on what's happening in that moment, folks, you want to notice, what did I just say, or what just happened that Janette is now touching her body. This is called pacifying behavior. When we feel a little unease, the body will self-touch, and you have to
Mhm.
figure out what's happening in the moment, because every moment by moment, it's different. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, it might be totally different if you're on a date. All right. So self-touch on a date, depending on what's happening in the moment, might be a plus, like licking the lips, depending on the moment, right? So it's
Or if you're
all,
LL Cool J. No, I'm playing.
that's right. That's right. So, so all of these tips are situational and relational. because my interaction with Robert and my conversation with Robert might be different than with my family member. So the rules adjust according to the situation, the moment, and with whom you are dealing. So I hope that helps.
That was fantastic. Well, listen, we're just about at time. Janette, why don't you wrap us up? Give us your final word of advice about accurate body language. How should we use it? What do you want to share with us?
Yes. Everybody, I invite you to take out your phone and follow me on Instagram and let me know what you think about my last 7 days of Alex Murdock. And I use the magic of body language, which you can too. M is for motivation. What was his motivation? What is your prospect's motivation? A is for ask strategic questions. What G is for pitching them possible guilt-related questions. I is notice the indicators in the body, and C is clustering it all together. Robert, we all know the importance of greater clarity when we cluster the clues, because then the more accurate picture of what's happening in the moment is revealed. So I appreciate all of you, and I thank you, Robert, for being the host with the most on today's preview event.
Thank you so much, Janette. Don't forget to follow Janette on Instagram and send her your email once you have followed her so that she can offer you a face reading. One lucky person will get a free face reading consultation from Janette so that, so that you can be even better at your face or something. Yeah. She can tell a lot more about you, and you can get some more insight into who you are by engaging with her in that way. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for joining us for this Big View session. Follow Janette on Instagram. Get connected with me. Get in touch with rk3.com. You want to be a part of our video storytelling challenge next week, go on over to videostorytellingchallenge.com and we'll be glad to have you. All right. See you on the next Big View session. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Hey there, storytellers. Thanks for joining me on the session. I'm so pumped that we were connected, and I hope you found real value in what was shared. Do me a favor. I want to continue the journey with you. Head on over to RK3 That's Me. That's right, RK3That's.me. On that page, you'll find all of the different places on the interwebs that you can get connected with me. And there are also some great resources for you to download. Download them because they're designed to help you become better presenters, better communicators, and video storytellers. And that's what we need more of in this world, right? Listen, get connected, go to RK3 That's Me. I'm RK3, and I hope to see you